Okay, here we are again, and we're doing a great interview with my very good friend Hugh Foster. And he's been a photographer for a long time, doing a lot of fashion and doing commercial work. He has a fantastic studio in Santa Ana, California. And I want to welcome him today, and we're going to talk about how he got into photography and how he sees photography moving forward, and we'll talk about some of his photos. Great to see you.
Thanks, Peter.
How did you get into photography?
This is, it's an honor. Thanks for asking me to do this. I appreciate it. Photography, well, I was a musician in my 20s. I grew up in Orange County in the punk rock scene, and all my friends were in bands, so I just figured that was my natural course. And then I got in the music industry, started a music software manufacturing company, and about 6 years into it, I realized I was somewhat tone deaf. So,
well, that's a detriment, yeah.
That was tough. So I moved to Washington in 1990, and I took a photography class, a 101 black and white photography class, and that was it. I got inside the dark room, and the smell of sulfur in the air, the sound of running water, 72 degrees, that amber safe light. I mean,
and this is film days.
Magic.
Film days.
It's film days.
Film days.
Definitely. It's magic, yeah.
And for those who are listening, film days was like the steam days, prehistoric kind of, a long time ago. Continue on.
Yeah.
So Washington, did you have a studio in Washington?
I did. I had a 6,000 square foot studio at the corner of Stewart and Denny, which is one of the busiest off ramps in Seattle heading southbound.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what kind of photography
and
did you do?
And a dark room for cavemen.
Okay. What kind of photography did you do there?
A lot of surrealist portraiture. I experimented with nudes, figure studies. I did a lot of darkroom experimentation with photograms and cross processes, and I introduced video into the circuits. This is all, I mean, these are analog days.
Yep.
So it's a different process, but it's the same stuff I'm interested in today. It's just now you do it all sitting in front of a computer, which I think is a little sad. You know, you miss those, you know, what you used to have to do in certain environments, and it was tactile and mechanical, and I miss those. There's a romance.
And you had to be a craftsman. You had to know how to do and use, you know, ISO, f-stop. You had to know how those things all function, and you couldn't waste film.
You had to pay attention to detail.
Pay attention
Big
to
time,
detail,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
no spray and pray there.
No spray and pray. So you're at the Festival of Arts where we're interviewing you today, and you're one of the highly selected photographers that has been invited back again. So what do you say about your artwork now? What makes you different as a photographer compared to other photographers?
You know, there are, especially this year, the talent this year is off the hook, you know, you included.
That was a nice sideway from...
Well, I really want to make sure this thing hits the air. And it's tough. It's you know, so many people do things so well, and everybody seems to find their niche. Me, I reinvent myself. Every year I come back with a completely different looking wall.
Yes.
But it's like that in all walks of my life, all parts of my life. It's. But I was going to call the wall. Do we even have something printed up? It was. I think I might be ADHD. This was going to be the show title.
But I've noticed you are not mainstream photographer. You like to do things that invoke comment, invoke some sort of reaction. So how do you react to bad criticism of your work?
As long as we provoke a reaction, then I'm happy.
Okay.
Even if it's a bad one. I think art should trigger a feeling or an impulse. It should take you somewhere. It should start a conversation with yourself about an experience or a memory that you might have. And so I think art should invoke some sort or trigger some sort of response.
What kind of equipment do you use?
What do I shoot?
Yep.
Digitally, I shoot Canons, Canon 1DX Mark III, I shoot 4x5 in studio, have a Horseman, the number of prime lenses. I shoot a Fuji 6x9 film camera, one 65 millimeter, one 90 millimeter. But it's mostly the Canon.
Yeah.
Oh, and I did, so we took a trip to Croatia and Italy this year, and I moved into the Fuji game, and picked up a Fuji X Pro 3 and a number of prime lenses, which I'm really happy with, just getting to know it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, compact,
Nice.
easy to store, and creates some beautiful imagery.
Right. And I can say this, that after going to your studio and seeing the amount of equipment and the amount of attention to detail and the amount of lighting expertise that you have, you definitely know how to light subjects and that sort of stuff. So one of the images that I wanted to discuss with you is this image that you will hold up. If you could briefly talk about why this was important for you to do.
All right, so this is called The Death of Pineapple. And some of you might recognize the basic form. This is a mock-up of the French Revolutionary painting by David called The Death of Marat. And in the original piece, Marat is an up-and-coming French politician, the people's politician, who used to soak in a bathhouse each day because he suffered from a skin ailment. Well, he was assassinated by a woman who worked her way into the bathhouse, stabbed him, left him for dead. David, the painter, and the politician knew each other prior to the assassination, and David had the inside track on the crime and painted the names of the killer on the letter. And then when the piece was hung on a gallery wall, the woman was picked up, summarily executed by the French authorities for the death of Marat. So in our version, we deal with addiction, and the man in the bathtub, his real name is Pat Reyes Mendiola, and he's a 25-year addict living on the streets of Santa Ana. His nickname is Pineapple, that's his street name, and it's the only time I've had narcotics, to the best of my knowledge, have narcotics in the studio in a shot. He brought his loaded methamphetamine pipe. And in our version, we're dealing with the issue around opiates and big pharma, and the names of the killer are written on the note here too, and it's Johnson & Johnson, McKesson, Amgen Source.
And the point of doing that is to make a statement.
Yeah.
Okay. Because none of your artwork really, I would say, is bland, boring, or milk toasty. Everything that you produce, okay, you can put it down now. Thank you. I mean, everything that you produce makes a statement, and that's what you want your viewers to see, that it makes a statement.
Yeah.
Okay. So what would you say to young photographers that are coming up through, that want to become specialized in a different field? How would you encourage young photographers now?
Find your passion. Find what speaks to you and follow that vein. Don't sacrifice your art for commercial gain. Don't get into the field of photography because you want to pay the bills by taking pictures, because you'll get burned out. If you're an artist and you want to produce, then do that. There's nothing wrong with having a 9-to-5 if it frees you up in terms of the expression that you utilize when you create your photography.
Right. So are you still happy being a photographer now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah? You wouldn't do it?
Yeah.
Would you do anything else?
Oh, I'm as happy now as I was 30 years ago.
So what would you do to improve your photography? What's the next step for you?
Passive revenue stream for freeing me up to work on art a lot more. Because what I just suggest you don't do, I made the mistake of going down that road and being a commercial photographer, and I find myself behind a computer working on images that pay the bills more so than I do the images that please me. And there's a crossroads where if your art is good enough and you're good enough as a salesman or as getting your art in front of the public and the art if the crowd responds well to your work, then that becomes a viable source of revenue. But it's trying to find that balance. It's
Right.
tricky.
And I know that you're doing some charity work for the women group. Just briefly describe what you're doing for that.
So I've been working with an organization called the Women's Journey Foundation for about 10 years, 12 years. And they have a project called the Women's Legacy Project, which is a brick and mortar women's history museum to be built here in Orange County. I'm hoping for downtown Santa Ana, but I think there are a few different places that are being thrown out there as a possible location. And I'm shooting a portrait book in support of the Women's Legacy Project. And that is a coffee table book. I'm doing shooting about 200 portraits, persons of interest, celebrities, politicians, people who are willing to lend their celebrity and their face and their image to generate funds for a worthy cause.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Hugh. And if you want to get in touch with Hugh, what's the best way to get in touch? What's your social?
HughFosterFineArt.com.
That's it?
That's it. Or Pick Foster, at Pick Foster on Instagram. Or come down to the show.
And do you have any more?
Here. Come to the Festival of Arts. I'll be here until the end of August. Cool.
That's our clipboard. Yeah, it's our clipboard done. All right.
Cool.
That was good.
It's all right.
One take.